know what?
hello.
I'm
Good
triple
morning,
checking.
I mean, there's
I am
one person in here, so I feel like it's already
triple.
working. Are we
You know what?
listed? Is this thing on?
Hello. Hello. Let me triple check. Let me
Is
triple check.
this thing on?
Yes,
Is that
it is
T.S.
public.
Madison? Yeah, it's giving T.S. Madison. It's either T.S. Madison or
Fantastic.
Wendy Williams. Either way.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. Okay. So it has been a minute. Gwen.
Gwen! Oh, I was thinking about you too because you were saying that it's been difficult to make this time, so I'm so glad you're here. How
Yeah.
are
Also,
you?
so sorry about the mayhem last week, guys. We've missed you too. Like between
Yes.
the tech stuff last week and then I just had my birthday 2 days ago. Hello, son. Hello, Molly. Um, like it's been Candace has been sick, but also like she just put the work in to our most recent article. Link below. Link in the description.
Link below.
Girl,
It was
we
fun.
are.
It was cathartic. But yeah,
Mhm.
we've been running Shayna and running on empty me. So, but we're here. But we're still
Yes,
here and we're so happy to be with you. Yes. And another
yes,
birthday
of
celebration for Shayna.
course. I am happy to talk more about like what I did on my birthday. I'll also definitely be sharing like pictures and like overviews. And I didn't want to share like too much while I was there for safety reasons, but now that I'm out, I am happy to share more information on birthday stuff. But also, um, the article that we're going to be talking about more today is Candace's labor of pun fully intended.
A labor of love.
Oh,
I saw your brain spark with that one.
oh,
Labor. Yeah.
labor.
Oh my God.
Yes. She is
Labor.
talking about the realities, the prices, the experience, the differences between pregnancy in the United States and pregnancy and I can't even just say generally abroad, more specifically like her experience of pregnancy in Denmark.
Yeah.
And my goodness,
It's a doozy.
like,
Well, it's also, it is one that we have on the paywall. So we have like a little sneak preview and like all of the details and all of it. And it was kind of like a lot to organize because I haven't really like dove in deep to talk about like my whole pregnancy, postpartum, and everything experience here in Denmark. And I hope it, sparks conversation because mind you, I've only been pregnant in Denmark, right? So a lot of what I know when I'm comparing to the States, it's because I have very close friends and family that have shared their experience as well. But things possibly could have changed and things could be different. So I'm also very open to hear, everybody else's experience. But we also wanted to keep this article up for people who might have already had, built their families, might be thinking of build their families, either in the States or abroad, and just to give more information there. But also knowing that we have this article, but last week, because of technical difficulties, we also didn't have a chance to really speak through the run the numbers and the finances part article that we put out, which is also very lengthy. We're like chalking up the lengthy ones.
yeah,
So welcoming questions in general, like we always are, welcoming questions that are through, the checklist and all that stuff. But if you have questions on the financial or any other just like feedback, please let us know if you have questions or any feedback on the article we just put out about pregnancy in Denmark versus the States. Let us know. It's going to be an open conversation. We're going to
yeah.
keep it rolling. Oh my
Also,
gosh,
if you
when
have any
when was
questions about like birthday stuff, also happy to answer that too. Even though I will be doing like a full download on that later, probably I'll probably just rant about it later this week and then we'll schedule it out later. But because we've got a doula in the chat,
uh,
I feel
yeah.
like I feel like the door is open for you to start talking about the article that you just wrote.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, a doula. That's like I think that job is so important and so critical. And honestly, I found, and Gwen, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I found a lot more of my friends recently, and especially a lot more women of color have been going towards having a doula rather than typical quintessential hospital visit doctor nurse, or having, a doula to assist as well, because of what many of the things I talked about in the articles, which I kind of started with just some of the harrowing stats around Black women mortality rate with birth, and just the inconsistencies and inequalities of healthcare in the states that I know have been, again, what I've seen from articles and stories and rage TikToks, as I said. So I just think being a doula is incredible work, and I have quite a few friends in the work. So
I want to quickly jump in as you're sharing this. I can't remember which state that it's in, but it's definitely in the deep south. It's either Georgia, Mississippi, or Alabama. That
Alabama,
much I know. It's one of those three. But they actually stopped reporting on, I think specifically Black women's mortality, Black pregnant women's mortality rates.
yeah.
And now, like I think in one of these states, I know definitely Black women's mortality rates is no longer being measured on the metrics. It could potentially be all women's mortality rates or all like mortality rates for like pregnant people, but I know it's definitely. I talked about this a while ago on my page. I can't remember where the video is,
Yeah,
but
I've
I know
I've
that that
heard that, like, that it's not reported. I mean, honestly, just looking at the studies, there isn't a wealth of studies, and the sources also were interesting too. It was hard to find like a CDC study about it, but I still feel like,
I mean they just
I don't know, a
gut
lot
the
of those numbers,
CDC
I'm like,
anyway, so
exactly. I
yeah.
mean, the numbers are still like harrowing regardless. One of the ones, I put a few in the article, but Black women in the US died at a rate of nearly 3.5 times higher than white women around the time of childbirth.
Oh,
And this is
son, thank you
2023.
for the birthday gift.
Oh,
Oh,
and that thought is so, oh, I love that. Yay. Thank you, son, on behalf of Shayna.
oh,
You're
so
so
sweet.
sweet.
Oh, okay, sorry. We're focused. Please continue.
No, back
I've
to
been.
Black mortality rate. It's like, no, we don't. I'm like,
Oh,
it's
the
kind of early.
duality of man.
The duality of, I mean, talk about birthday and death dollars. How about that? But no, it's obviously a dense topic, and I had a lot of this going in, where just my research, what I say in the article is like, all I knew going in was like what pregnancy could look like as a Black woman in the States, right? I didn't know what it could or would look like in Denmark, until I was like kind of too too late, where I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. And I had, of course, the quintessential kind of freak out. I don't want to say of course, but I was like, like, is this scary? Am I okay? Is this gonna like change my life in a way that I don't do spell check all of
Don't
that.
it?
Um, like, and so I think I had that moment, and it took a good amount of time to be like, wait a second, I'm in a supportive, incredible relationship. We have a home that we just moved into with an extra bedroom. Um, and I've, up until this point, I had been here for 4 years, about at that time. I'm like, up until this point, like, all of my healthcare has been covered. I've seen so many and talked to so many women and families, and knew enough about their experience here, where I was like, okay, I'm still worried because I don't know, right? But
Mm.
I gotta assume this is probably going to be better. Um, and it was. And so I talk about the article, like, there's so many elements around it, but I tried to split it into three categories, which was like support, ease, and price. Of course, we're going to talk about price, right? Oh, really quick, when I was attending births, it was primarily white middle class women who hired doulas. Yeah, but I think it's so important for Black women to have support. Absolutely, Black doulas are right.
Mhm.
Absolutely, and I think that's where there's so many beautiful networks, and maybe I'd love to actually dive into it and shout some out, maybe in the article. Networks of women of color who are like kind of doula networks, basically, to help, even out the playing field of the unequal healthcare system and healthcare that Black women, especially in childbirth, get. And there's so many other pre-existing conditions and all of these things that kind of go into the history of how we're like, the odds are stacked against us when giving birth. So in
And I do
general,
think that Black women. Ooh,
yeah,
mhm.
I don't know, go
I was
go.
just going to say, like in general, I have been noticing an increasing amount of the Black women and pregnant people looking for whether that is birth doulas or whether that is just like a general advocate for them in that is reflected it like a black advocate or a marginalized advocate for them in the birthing process. Like I've been seeing a lot more people talking about this, making videos about this, sharing resources about. I think that this is, and it's all very historic too.
Yeah,
Like, we I don't want to say this as 100% fact, but I think that the like doulaing or midwifery in the United States really started with Black enslaved people.
mhm,
And so it's all just like a returning to the things that kept us alive
exactly.
during particularly trying times.
Which is community, right? And so and I think community is the number one thing. And so when I was here, and I love what Gwen said here about, white doulas using their privilege as an advocate. Oh, I sat my white partner down and said, before the appointments, I was like, here are the rates. Here's what I'm working with. Here's the fears. Here's the doubts. You, as a member, a community member of this country who can speak the language, who can read between the lines, who all of that, like you need to be my biggest advocate in that room because I don't know what I'm walking up against. We had very, very transparent conversations around that of like, this is what I want, this is what I expect, and you will get me nothing less, if not more. Like I was just like, I don't know. Like I can advocate for myself to a certain point, but also like in the best way, this is the benefit of having a partner from the country. This is the benefit of having a white man to sometimes say the things that don't get received the same way for me saying it, right? And so we work with that as much as we can. And I will say, as much as we were prepped for that to happen, as much as my partner did put in the work there, I feel like he did not need to as much as I thought, right? Like again, I was going into this thinking like I was going to be up against the wall of proving my symptoms, of having, to put together my birth plan and say, you will give me this. And I remember that was one of the bits a little bit later on in my pregnancy where I was like, okay, birth plan. I want to make sure, I forget all of it, but I want to make sure this and this and this and this. And I remember going to the doctor, they're like, yeah, okay, that's standard. That's possible. Yes, that's standard. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, we do. Essentially, they were like, all of this is already included. And mind you, I was looking at like what to put on my birth plan of like, I don't want to be moved at this, or I don't want this, or I want this. All of that stuff I was looking at was from the States, where many of those things aren't just included or they're crazy extra price, right? Or they're just not uh what was it? There was certain things of like at what point would they induce me, right? Little things like that where I was realizing how little um protection and what's that? Just responsibility women had for their own bodies. Like they would I'm like the way that they would in the US at least what I was researching have to advocate for being able to control their body and know when something was going to get induced or when they were going to get surgery or not. In Denmark, they're like, yeah, absolutely, you'd be in on that choice, or absolutely, we'd let you know before then, or absolutely, your partner would give us the go ahead, absolutely. And I was just like, oh, okay. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of those moments
Mhm.
where I was like way more scared going in, and then that's why I said in the article, like every doctor's appointment, I was just like, oh, okay, like I don't have to have as much of a guard up. They're working with me, and they have a system that in the best way I like plugged into, and then I was like, great, you just work along the system, and I was like, love this. Okay, let me just
We
see if
have a
there's
couple
any.
questions in here. I
Yes,
also have a question for you because
sure.
I don't know if this is like standard in the United States or if there are certain counties or states that do this
Yeah.
more heavily than others. But I heard that there is a fee for, I caught a lot. Hey, I heard that
Yeah.
there is a fee for being able to hold your baby. Actually, you didn't experience childbirth in the United States, so you might not know this, but you would know if they do this or don't. They probably don't in Denmark. But I heard that there's a fee for being able to hold your baby after you've given birth.
Sometimes. And I only know this because I was
Yeah.
researching the comparisons
Uh-huh.
of like the prices because I was like, this is the stuff I got in Denmark. And I was like, what would it be in the US? But what I didn't realize is all the stuff I got that was just included that I didn't realize. So it was like, oh, I had oxygen, I had IV, I had this. And I was like, oh yeah, like that's standard. But yes, I've heard about that. There's
Oxygen
something about
costs money.
skin to
You
skin.
know
Yeah,
what?
there's something about, and I again, Gwen, people might know this more, but I think it's something about like the type of delivery, if it's like C-section or not, if the baby was healthy in a certain way or not. whatever it is, I have heard of like skin to skin tax. There's also tax just to like, oh, getting lactation support after a
Yeah.
certain amount of time. Having someone on staff costs extra. It's like, why is my room just staffed with the people that need to be there? Right.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
all of this, it's just it's crazy. So
Confused.
no, the costs are
Child-free
crazy.
person is confused.
Yeah, bodily
So,
autonomy. Thank you, Glenn. Son,
so when
are
you
they
said
pushing in
somebody,
the sorry.
when you said somebody, it costs money to have somebody on staff in your room.
What
Does
I
that mean that
saw, it
there are
was like
people who
the
are?
I was looking at like what would a US hospital bill be? Right? Because I
Mhm,
literally I did not see a bill. I had no bill. I say the only money we paid was it's called like 200, it's called 200 kroner, which is equivalent to like 30 something dollars, which was for
mhm,
my partner to stay an extra night because we had to
mhm.
get like readmitted to the hospital because my
Yeah.
daughter was a little bit underweight. That was it. I did not see a bill. I could look up my medical history. I could look up all that I got. I did not see a bill. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know the itemized receipt of what I got. What I can remember is like I got laughing gas. I got this Selven, which was like this salt water, which is like a natural. They just, oh my God, they call it bee stings. It was almost as painful as labor. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a natural way to it's actually really cool. It's a natural way for your body just to put all of like the pain relief in one place. So they gave me bee stings. It's just salt water right
Uh-huh.
along my skin on my back because I had a really bad back labor. And so
Hmm.
all of my body's natural like pain defenses just went to my back. And I
Oh,
was like, this is insane. And then I actually started to feel all the pain in my uterus. So that was great. Um, but I'm sure I'm going to
right.
stay in the rich auntie category. Yes, honestly, and this is what I say. I have so many child-free friends. Honestly, I have more child-free friends than I have friends with kids. And this is one. It's because I just appreciate difference. I appreciate these people, but also because I think I relate to that mindset where I'm like, if I did not have this level of support, this level of community, all that happened, and again, like just with life, I do not believe I would be a parent in the States. I don't think I would have mentally, emotionally been able to do it. Also, raising a Black child, and like, I just don't. If I had to choose, I probably would be child free if I was still in the States. If I didn't find this partner, if I didn't. So I very much see that reality where I am child free and vibing. So it's like, I would not do this if I had any less than what I had. Right. So that's what I'm very, very specific with. Yeah, lactation consultant costs. There was so many, but if you look up, if you're interested, look up like itemized like example, and there's so many on TikTok now, like itemized example of like a hospital bill. It
Hmm.
was crazy. I was like, oh, just to have like the option to have a pool in my room, for example, like that's evidently extra. If you want to like have, if you want to be, if you want to labor in different positions, if you want the right to have this, if you want the right to have this, you
If
either
you
have to
want
like get
to
it approved.
move,
If you have to get it approved, put it in your birth plan, give it to your doctor, all of this stuff where what I'm saying, and so to go back to some, at least for EU, I can't speak to all of EU, but in Denmark, they were never pushy. They were so like calm. Like sometimes where I'm like, I'm having a baby. I remember I called, was like, hi, I'm pregnant. Like, what do I do? Like my doctor, and she's like, okay, well, we'll see you in 9 weeks. I was like, is there anything I like shouldn't do or shouldn't eat? And there, she was like, I mean, you're probably not going to want to eat. If you have any pain like this, come, of course, call us. If not, like we've already booked your 9 week appointment. We'll see you then. Just, be safe, hang out. I was like, okay. Like that's where I was kind of in
wow.
my head. I was like, there's something they're not telling me. There's something they're not telling me. But then all of luckily I had other, friends and family who had been pregnant or who were pregnant. And they're like, no, they're just it. Like, what's going on? Um, and so from then, it was like, and I say in the article, then they're like, here, add this app because Denmark's central healthcare system, I had the exact like my date of conception or whatever. To here's your first appointment. Here are all the appointments you're going to need. Here's how to book them. Here's all the helpful steps. We're going to do this, this. Here are the tests you're going to need to do. If you don't do these tests, here's going to be this. And the great system is that I did not have to pick a doctor. I didn't have to pick a nurse. I didn't have to pick a hospital. They're like, oh, you live in Aarhus, you're going to Aarhus University or hospital.
Oh,
You're going to Aarhus Hospital. Done. It's the closest. It's the closest. So that's why you're going to go in. Okay. And again, let me know if anybody's had children here and knows. Like that is what I know of my friend, like that is a huge stress. It's like what hospital, what doctor, where, who's going to be available? Oh, is the doctor going to be available then? Do they have never had to worry about that because you always have, I didn't have one central doctor. And also in Denmark the same, like you kind of have one central doctor for regular care. Other than that, if you need to be seen by someone, everybody is trained. Everybody's pretty trusted. I've always gotten pretty similar, care between people. And so all of my appointments were just by different midwives. And sometimes I had the same midwife like 3 times. But when I was going to the hospital, I didn't know what midwife was going to be there. But I did know that the midwife was going to be on a 6 hour shift. They were not going to be overtired. They were going to be supported. A doctor is always nearby and they switch out. That's what I knew. And that's all I kind of needed to know. Shayna.
Thank you. As if you could choose somebody. If you could choose somebody
Yes.
else, it's like
Shayna
Victoria.
in the
Who?
back.
So, I
Shayna,
see
was
you.
it?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love. First of all, I'm learning so much. Next, the thing that is really, really being driven home for me in this conversation is the differences in what, like, every aspect of life in a capitalist society is meant to profit somebody and disadvantage somebody.
Yes.
And when you live
Yes.
outside of a capitalist system, because Denmark is social, like it would
Yes.
under the umbrella, right?
On their best days, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
On the rest of it. Okay, yes. But and like you could like even in the way that all of these different elements of care, of community, of healthcare being a standard where it's not like, oh, if you pay more money, then you will have a better chance of experiencing less torture through the medical care system. And if you pay even more money, then you can find somebody that will care about the fact that you are a black person experiencing like the fact that so many things that involve basic human decency have been commodified in a way
Yeah.
of not just like, ooh, do you like the color purple or do you like the color green? Mm-mm. It's like, do you want to be traumatized? Yes or no? No? Okay,
Yeah.
give me more money.
Well, and
And
this
then
is the
what is
thing too, because there's definitely conversations now of more like a rise of more private hospitals in Denmark. And this is why I say socialist on this, because they're like, well, if everybody's getting equal service, then that means I'm not getting the best. So there's a little bit of that where there's more private hospitals, there's more to pay. However, if you don't have that ability, you're still going to get basic care. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Like, so yes, there's still people that are like, I want to make sure I have the best care. And it's like, great, then you're gonna pay for the best care. And that's
mhm.
fine. Like you don't have to pay, like you don't have to pay to get basic care, right?
And the
Um,
basic care is still great care.
and the basic care is still great care. Like that's the thing is, and there's definitely stories of Danish women that were like, oh, I didn't get this, that did not have the perfect experience, right? So that's what we say is like it's so nuanced. It's not to say everybody's going to have the best birth experience. And also, I was very very lucky to have a very safe, like a very healthy pregnancy. So I didn't have extra complications. Everything kind of went to plan. I didn't have a super long labor. I didn't have super, anything too crazy. Like I was pretty stable throughout it. I think the most crazy thing is that I got COVID while I was pregnant and got my
Mhm.
extra shots. They had just like done enough tests that I was able to get like my second shot. And I got very sick. And so of course there was more, it was more mental of like, oh, what is this gonna do? And of course the research wasn't there yet. So it's like, oh my gosh, like is my baby gonna be okay? And all that stuff. But again, like every question I had, I called or I went to an appointment and I felt better after leaving the appointment. I didn't feel frustrated. I didn't feel like they were, placating. I didn't feel like they were ignoring me. Like I felt, oh, okay, they're listening. I feel better. E- And so much, oh my God, talk about the hormones. So much of that shit was mental where I was just like spiraling
Mhm.
on stuff. But when I looked at I was like, no, I feel good. I feel safe. I have enough people to connect to be like, is this great? Like, is this normal? And they're like, yes, that's normal. Okay. Then I feel okay. Um,
Which also
oh my
just
gosh,
like
let's not talk about
really.
leave yet. I'm only benefit from
Oh,
childbirth is
we could talk about
miscarry.
leave. I mean, you could talk about leave. I also want to like
I did
this
not
is
have a midwife.
also bringing like a lot more
course.
compassion, not that I was lacking, but like a lot more empathy to the mothers in the United States, or the people that are giving birth in the United States, who have to navigate all of those hormones while also having all of these questions and being like, okay, well, I could only afford 3 doctor's appointments. So I guess I should hold on to all of these questions that I have right now because I need to save them for this doctor's appointment, because I can't afford more. I can't afford to just like necessary. And like, if you have a really good doctor, a really kind doctor, I'm assuming that maybe you can call a staff member to be like, hey, remember we had a little jokey joke? My back, something is happening with
So
my
yeah,
leg. I don't know. But if you don't have that, I don't know. I don't know. Like, my mom
this
used
is
to work in insurance claims. So I would
ah,
hear her fighting for people's basic human care. Like, my mom would cry. Thank God she's retired, but she would cry so often, being like, I cannot believe the amount of, because the people would call her crying with like
yeah.
anything from like pregnancy related needs all the way up to like, hey, my disabled son is like, he needs this basic level of care, and they're saying that it's not medically necessary, but he cannot walk. You're the ninth person that we've spoken to. Everybody's been giving us the runaround. And I'm like, to be going through all of this and be
It's
pregnant.
that's where I'm just like, I cannot. And again, hindsight 2020, we never know. I know in my heart that one of the contributing factors to why I had such a healthy pregnancy was, one, of course, the care, but two, the mental load that I did not have to carry. The mental load I was prepared to carry that I didn't have to, which is why I'm like, if you're like, okay, now you could do it in the States, I'd be like, why the fuck would I do that? Because that, like, it's the mental load that you put on these birthing humans and families that is just like, this is why I avoided writing this article for so long, because it really just makes me pissed and sad that, like, and I say this in the article, is like, I should not be an anomaly. I should not be like, wow, like Candace is so lucky that she got basic health care and didn't have to pay and got 10 months of paid maternity leave and then didn't have to interrupt her career either, went back to work, got promoted. Like, that should be fucking normal. That should not be a crazy, like, spinny story. And that's why I was kind of scared to write this, where it was going to feel like I was showing off. And I'm like, no, actually, more people should understand what basic. And Denmark is like not, and Denmark's also not an anomaly. I think in Poland, it's standard to get like 2 years off for maternity leave. They're like, why would a woman go back? They're like, why would a birthing person go back to work? Like, we care about families. And when there are countries that care about families, and I talk about this in the article, and there's probably gonna could be a part two when I talk about parenting actually now,
Mm,
this country and this city that I'm in, they care about families. What does that mean? Okay, from one of the pieces of support I talk about is, initially they offer it to all mothers and parents. Is like, there's it was quintessentially called mother groups, but now they've even been more open. And I think, like, by law a few years ago, they're like fathers. They do father groups as well, or birthing parent groups, where basically they hook you up with other people that are going to give birth around the same time, to be like, here are some, like, people that you can, talk to, that you're, relating to, being in this experience together. And then also, many of those people, because people have longer, maternity leaves, they spend those maternity leaves together. So that's another part of community where you're like, hey, like, I'm having breastfeeding, trouble. What would you say? Or this person, or they go on walks. You always see them. It's like, oh, here come the Mula, where it's like they're all in their strollers, like side by side, walking to the cafes. And the cafes all have stroller parking. There's cafes for, like, that are baby friendly, family friendly, that has all the stroller parking, that has multiple stalls and multiple changing tables in every bathroom. Like, things like this, where it's like, families, like, again, kids are free for almost everything in general. Kids are free for a while, but, like, there's all of these little bits but huge parts of, like, oh, this country cares about families. They're not inconvenienced by kids. They're not thinking kids should be adults. They're not like, there's not so many spaces where it's like you won't see a kid. Like, I've seen kids in bars. It's just kind of like, okay, sure, if you want to bring your kid in the bar, like, that's your responsibility. But I've never seen a sign that's like, no kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a whole different vibe. Like I've said this before, there's like nice restaurants that have a playroom in the back. Like, a nice restaurant, a very nice steak restaurant that has a full nice playroom in the back with multiple levels of toys for, like, ages 3 to 10.
Mhm.
things like this, and that's, like, very customary. So it's like this starts from when I said I was pregnant and just being led in that where I was like, okay, I know all of my appointments, I know everything. All of this information is in English. If I have any doubt, I could speak to them in English. Everybody was more than accommodating. Our birthing classes were in English. Midwife. So I said earlier, someone was like, "Did you have a midwife?" Technically, I had 9 different midwives. Like the nurses, there's doctors, and then specifically there's like midwives that are trained to be midwives, right? So they're trained to basically do everything that a doctor who's delivering would do and more. So it's a and I can get more technical into that, but like it's a separate section. So they're like, yeah, we can call the doctor, but we rarely have to call the doctor because we can handle everything. But there's always a doctor available on staff to assist with deliveries. But I had a midwife. I remember I got in at like 5:30 and they were like, okay, a midwife, a new shift is starting at 6, so we're going to get you a new midwife. She was also a woman of color, which is incredible. Spoke Danish and English. At that point, I was like, I don't even need to be speaking English. I was like, Oscar, my boyfriend was like, you got this. I'm just gonna, I don't know, focus on giving life. So you got
Mhm.
that part. Um, and then luckily, I quick labor. So my daughter was born right at 11. And but like right before that shift, they're like, okay, she's approaching her last bit of her shift. So we have 2 more midwives to come and have the birthing plan, have everything that's clear. So it was so smooth. And I did not have to think about a lot during my pregnancy. The stuff that was just like I thought about, I communicated, it was done. The other stuff I didn't even think of, it was thought out for me. It was kind of incredible. Okay. I'm gonna take a break because I know there's
I
probably many
also
questions.
I also want to, one of the people that was, I can't remember who it was a little bit earlier, but they were commenting about the increase of fertility deserts in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so scary. For those of you who are not following this specific account, ooh, it's kind of related to this. There's an account on Substack that's called Abortion Every Day, and she
Mm-hmm.
has been reporting on the infringements on abortion care, on women's bodily autonomy for years. Like she has been doing this for years, and she has been concerned for years, long before Roe v. Wade was overturned. And literally every day she talks about new legislation that is put out against people who have uteruses. And she is graying very quickly on social media, and she has also been documenting like the concept of fertility deserts. I know of because I've been following her for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it's important to, going back to what you were saying, Candace, about like, I was nervous about sharing my experience because like I was getting angry and I was getting sad, both of which are very important emotions for revolution. Just putting that out
Yes.
there.
Yes.
um,
That's my own healing
and
to do. Yes.
listen, we're all going through our journeys. We're all going through our journeys. What did James Baldwin say? He used the word Negro. I will, I guess, also use the word Negro. He's like, to be a Negro in the United States and to be moderately conscious is to be in a constant state of rage. So,
Yes.
like, bing, bang, boom.
Yes.
But the opposite of a fertility desert, I would dare say, and I have not heard this phrase before, maybe I'm quoting it, I don't know, is a fertility oasis, which sounds like basic human care, and you are given the option for what that care looks like for you. um,
Yes.
and it sounds like, I mean, I know that you said that Denmark is not an anomaly, and I don't believe that it is necessarily an anomaly. It's just a country that is investing into its citizens and its
Yes.
residents.
Yes.
And I think that just looks like what a fertility oasis is. Like, I don't imagine that Denmark is seeing an insane decrease in its population. There are other countries that also might not be seeing, I mean, there is one country that is seeing a boom in its population, but we're putting that to the side. It's Israel. It's because the United States is paying for everything, putting that to the side. But I think that these kinds of conversations and being able to see what both of these sides of the coins look like is
Yeah.
so important for
Yeah.
people who, like, there was somebody else in the chat that was like, oh, what is her name again? I can't remember the name of the journalist, but if you type in abortion every day Substack, first person to pop up. Um, but there's somebody else in the Substack that was talking about how, yeah, you know, with everything that's going on in the United States, I decided to, I'm not doing any horizontal tangoing with men. It's just safer.
I wouldn't.
And I'm like,
I
I
wouldn't.
wouldn't. I wouldn't
I mean, if
because
that's
you
the
could be.
again, if that's I was in a I've been in a committed relationship now for 11 years. At that point, we had been together for what, 7, 8 years, and I still was like, I don't know about a child with this person. I was like, but again, I freaked out because and this is why it's so important when I say Denmark supports families. It's not like it's pregnancy is so important. It's critical. It's the craziest fucking time, right? But what comes after that? What comes after that, right? So what comes after? Oh, one, I'm not saddled with a huge bill and I left with my daughter with $31 out of not even my pocket, out of my partner's pocket. Um, and I was just like, well, now we have a child. Okay, what am I to do? Oh my gosh, the stress. Oh, don't worry, there's a midwife visit your first week. They're going to come by, see how you're doing, see how you're settling, see your mental health. So many mental health checks I had. Just again in the system, mental health checks. How are you feeling? How's this? What are you worried about this? Midwife visits. Okay, great. All like I said, all of my daughter's appointments still are sent automatic to be like, it's her time for the vaccines. It's her time for this. Oh, it's her time for dental. It's her time for the second dental. It's her time for this. We also get I didn't even put this in here talking about level of support and price. Again, there's so many levels. We get payments. We get equivalent of like, oh, it was about 4,000 kroners. So what's that like? $500, five to $700 quarterly just to help with her. And you get that for each kid until they're 18, but like after I think after like every so years it gets a little bit less. But basically we were just getting money quarterly to help with having a child.
You also got the boxes. There were also,
Oh, the
yes,
free baby
Kirby, it is
boxes.
Jessica Valentini. Yes. Yeah, you got
Jessica
baby
Valentini.
boxes.
Baby box. Oh,
That's the name
and
of
they're
it.
at the stores. The baby boxes. They're at the stores where it's like you get coupons. You're like, oh, you're pregnant. Because again, it's registered in the country. It's like, oh, we register that you're pregnant. So all of this stuff becomes automatic. Okay, you're set up for all these appointments. Oh, you're pregnant. Great. Once you let your work know, we will give them everything they need to settle your maternity leave. And I talked about this too, is like maternity leave is basically based off of what your regular salary is. There's a standard that you have to receive by the Danish government, and then your work can also put a little sauce on it. So my work put a little bit of sauce on it. So I was getting about 70% of my full salary while I was on maternity leave. All of that was from me being like, hey, I'm pregnant, and my work not freaking out, them being like, okay, funny timing, because I literally started my first day September 27th. I found out I was pregnant the 28th. And I said, well, good thing about that salary. And I said, they're going to fire
She was
me.
busy.
I've lost everything. We're fucked. What happened? My new manager was also a mom who just got back from her maternity leave. She was like, I understand it. So many people, I was waiting for them to be like, you're fucked. We're like, you can never plan these things. And we're so happy for you. Like, oh, you can't plan
Mm.
these things. We're so happy. I was there for the 8 months. I decided when my like last or whatever days were. I also was like, oh, I want to do every other. Like I did like half part time for like a week and a half. I got to decide all of that stuff. Then I was off for a month before I even gave birth. So I had a month before I gave birth. And then everybody was like, yeah, we'll see you in like a year. I came back after 10 months and they were like, are you sure? Are you sure, ma'am? And
That was
again, talk
quick.
about quick. Talk about investing in their people. Just 2 years ago, they put new laws in that actually gave more weeks to fathers or co-parents because the mothers usually, and I put the whole breakdown in the article. Again, it's on Substack for those looking.
And the link to the
Um,
Substack is in the description for this live. Like you could just go
yes.
straight to it's all there.
Yes. So yeah, so they actually just gave more weeks to the father and they say like you have to take this many weeks because they were getting so many stories of still women primarily being on leave and having trouble entering even
She's
the
talking
little
about
bits of
Denmark.
yes, Denmark. Even the little bits of inequalities in that way, where it was like, well, some women wanted to get started back to work, and and the dads wanted more time, and they were doing these studies where it was like they were finding that some of those connections with fathers was dwindling a little bit. What do they do? More paid paternity leave. Great. And now they said, fathers, you have to take this much. right? That's Gucci AF is exactly that. So, and mind you, it's not even like, oh, leave, okay, you're okay. Like I was getting paid during this whole leave. Like I was just, we were chilling and okay during this leave. Oh, speaking of leave, Shayna's gone, but I think she's coming back.
Somebody called me in the
Of course.
middle of
We do
this.
not disturb. I already told my family, I said, love y'all, do not disturb.
Yeah,
So
that's
yes. So the leave also after, again, the care after the also, mind you, when I say I couldn't afford it in the States, after pregnancy, still every single one of my appointments has been taken care of. My daughter's appointments taken care of. Dental is free until they're 18. So even her dental appointments are taken care of. I had to have a surgery, TMI, but here we're on the live.
we're
TMI,
there. We're
I
doing it.
had a pilonidal cyst, which is very
That's
common for women to have in pregnancy. Nobody tells them, nobody tells us this, but it's basically a cyst because you're sitting for a while and blood can go to one area. So essentially, I had a cyst like on my tailbone. When I
um
tell you that that shit hurt more than labor, I mean it with all of my body. I could not sleep for 3 days. I could not sit. It was awful. It was awful. It was awful. What happened? I go to the doctor. I'm like, I'm in pain. They're like, okay, we see that you're in pain. We see that you're still breastfeeding. Here's what we're going to do: go home. I'm going to call you, pump, bring all of your stuff. I will call you only when we have someone like at the hospital because you're going to have to get surgery at this point. Okay. She called me and was like, okay, pump one more time. Like literally, like knew my schedule for my child. Pump one more time. We're going to the hospital. Bring all your stuff. If you need someone to bring your milk back, like we can get it in a taxi to bring it back to your daughter at this point
a
if you
milk
need to.
taxi.
But we're gonna make sure that you get the surgery, but like also that you don't interrupt your pumping. And I was like, love this. Ended up, luckily, I didn't have to wait too long. I think the whole thing was about 7 hours. That I literally like went in, sat for a bit, went to surgery, got the surgery, woke up, got up. Someone helped me to like wake up, pumped one more time. They're like, as soon as you feel comfortable, we will call you the taxi. You can head home. Made my way home. Did not pay a penny for getting a full surgery within 10 hours of like notice. So what again, and my nurse, like everybody knew, they're like, oh, she's pumping, so we're not going to give her this medication. We're not going to give her this. We see it in the system. We're not going to do this. We're going to make sure to get her in and out. If we can't get her surgery, let her go home because she had like talk about the milkman deliveries. Literally, I was like, okay, that could actually be kind of cunty. I was like, maybe I was like, yeah, can you like deliver my milk? I was like, ooh, love that for me. But truly, again, this is taking care of families like after I had the child, right? So it's all the stuff of like, even if you get the best doctor, you get the best thing, you get the best insurance, you get everything, that does not promise that once you leave that initial hospital, you're not going to have something else that crops up, something else that happens with the baby. And again, luckily my daughter has been very healthy, but still, it rests my mind knowing if she broke a bone tomorrow, it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg for an ambulance. I'm going to call that ambulance. She's going to get treated. She's going to be fine. You know, what I'm like that level of comfort is why I can't go back. Is why I can't go back and why I could not imagine going back because it's the pregnancy and it's everything that comes after. It's our life after. It's the support after. It's the kindergarten. It's the everything that's happening after in my daughter's life now and our lives now that has made it so easy truly to be a family and to be a parent when parenthood is by far the hardest thing I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? Like it's both.
I have a question because it
It's
is under the same
postnatal care. Oh my
umbrella.
gosh.
Um, it's under the same umbrella, but just through like the other side of the coin. So I'm hearing this through the lens of not just pregnancy care, but like fertility
Birth support.
care. Just like yeah, let's put it under the umbrella of fertility care, right?
Mhm.
So when it comes to the laws for like bodily autonomy, like let's say that you're like, hey, listen, I'm pregnant, I don't want to be pregnant anymore. I'm assuming that the same amount of care that they put into people who want to be pregnant, they also put into people who don't want to be pregnant, right?
Yes.
Cool. Like, and so when we talk about the like on Black Babes Abroad, once again, if you are not part of the community, go join it. Go join it on Substack. We're talking about a lot of this stuff over there. Um, Everything's in the description. So when we talk about knowing the politics of the place that you are going into and how, like, recognizing how they care for marginalized people, and yes, pregnant
Mhm.
people are heavily marginalized people. We are seeing that in the United States, right? So seeing how they treat the most marginalized person or marginalized people in general within those spaces can give you information about how your situation will be. Yes, Candace is talking a lot about pregnancy care and about navigating the like OBGYN systems that are
Yeah,
in Denmark, right? And for a lot of people, they might only hear that as, oh, well, like that's for people who want to be pregnant or that's for people who want to be parents. It is fertility care. It is body care.
exactly.
It is, this is
Exactly.
how you care for your entire experience with having a uterus
Exactly.
holistically. And if they care for the people so much that have, and even if it's like the inverse, like let's say that I was going somewhere and I was like, oh, like I need to go somewhere where if I need an abortion or I want to terminate a pregnancy, I could be able to do that,
Yeah.
no questions asked. I can also be sure that if I am getting a high quality of care in like the conversations, in the procedures, and the medication, I can also be 100% sure that that country would also have a high that same level of care, possibly higher, but a similar level of care for people who want to be pregnant. So
Yes.
when it comes to looking for the country that you are potentially going to be entering into, looking at how they treat their marginalized people and marginalized experiences is going to give
Mhm.
you the information that you need to be able to make the best choice for your current situation and your possible future situations.
Absolutely. I couldn't
So
say and
keep this in
I
mind.
mean, we're a community, and we'll say that I'll say from experience, from other friends' experience, the level of care carries through whether you are trying to get pregnant, fall pregnant, do not wanna be pregnant anymore. We'll say, like, the level of care, the level of empathy, the level of non-judgment through all of those areas, I've seen it, I've felt it, I've witnessed it in others, is equal to your points, right? So it's like you see how people are treated depending on their situation, and I found it to be very equal, and again, just like basic. One would say basic, in the
Mhm.
best way. Oh yeah, don't get me started on dental, because dental is also so dental is not free here above 18. However, the amount of dental work, the amount of dental trauma I had in the States, the amount of like freaking root canals I was paying until my like, and again, my teeth are not perfect and they're never going to be. I don't need them to be. Also, again, I said this where I'm like, Europe is not fascinated by like having perfect white
They're not.
factory teeth. Like nobody cares that much, honestly.
Unless
So it's like,
you are in the UK and then you
um,
get those wild veneers.
okay, but that again, it's like, okay, sure. But it's like you're going again. It's like, hey, do whatever you want. Like, I'm not going to say I'm never going to get, I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying the insecurities I had around my teeth fell when I moved here because I realized like I kind of like my teeth. I see other people with their teeth and I think it's personality. And as long as my teeth are healthy, like I had tooth pain and I went to the dentist and I was like, ooh, okay, that's some money. But I have an extra insurance. So I got some of that money back. I got like 25% back because I knew I was going to invest in my dental health. But again, I think about it now and I'm like, well, if you're responsible as a child and your parents are responsible, I guess, and you get dental work for free until you're 18, including braces, including everything, for the most part, you shouldn't have as many issues when you're older. So, yes, you do still have to pay as an adult here. And I know many friends who are from other parts of Europe, they're like, oh my God, Denmark's so expensive. Like, I just go home. My friends, like, I just go to Turkey and get my teeth done. I just go to wherever to get my teeth done. I'm like, love that for you. Wish that was me. Love that for you though. But again, the thinking of like, well, we will give you dental for 18 years for free. So use it then and you'll be pretty much set up. Again, free bracelet. Like it's like, oh, okay, well, during that time, some of the most quintessential years, it's like then after that is just maintenance, right?
Mhm.
Um, so okay, and not a dentist to be found. Yeah, dentist is preventative. Heart disease, yeah. So much covered. So yeah, that's where a lot of my still fear around like what could happen and what in the medical field, I'm like, okay, I have to remember if an emergency happened tomorrow, I could call 112 and we'd be okay. unless it's something exorbitant and something crazy, like we'd be okay. And I wouldn't have to think about, can I afford this before dialing emergency for someone in my
Mm.
family, which I think is just so sick that I've been trained to be like, can we afford to get help? What?
And you've been in
It's so
Denmark
crazy.
for years, and it's still a thing
Yeah,
that your
still,
body is unlearning. So, like,
still.
y'all who are in the process of moving abroad, please know that, like, the healing process of recovering from the trauma of living in the United States, it's an ongoing process.
It's
Be
ongoing.
gentle with yourself. I'm still learning it,
Please
healing
have
from
grace.
it.
It
Yeah.
I wanna say it never goes away because I don't know, I'm 8 years in, but there's always tinges of it where I'm like, "Huh, that's just like I don't realize how deeply rooted it is for me to be scared of certain things or for me to be weary of certain things." And again, I don't think all of that is bad. I think there's a good amount of street smarts that comes from it where I'm like, okay, let me dig into that. But it also, we've talked about this before, is like you can't expect the US from, like, you can't expect you from other people, or it's like you can't expect the US from other places for good and for bad. Yes, you might want the convenience of the US, but you also can't color, like, I couldn't color the medical system in Denmark per US because that just wasn't a fair assessment. And that's what I say was like the most honestly, the most difficult part of my pregnancy, which is saying a lot, was the mental game of like, am I going to get treated? Like, am I going to get equal treatment? And even when I had 6 months down the line, I was still like, okay, is this the time? This is the shoe? This is the test that they're going to say something crazy about me. This is the moment. And then finally, by the time I was giving birth, I was like, I gotta just trust. I gotta just trust it's okay. And that whole experience was so nice and so everything outside of pushing that baby out was so easy. And I just feel like everybody should have that. And I'm so grateful I had that, but I also get very upset, very sad that people don't have that just at the base level, that they have to carry so much extra shit on their shoulders and in their minds and on their heart while also trying to bring life into this world. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
oh. So,
We let this rage, we let this rage, let me use I statements. I let my rage fuel me.
mhm,
I let my rage fuel
yes,
me towards action because if you just let it sit and fester, then you can't. Then you're just kind of digging yourself into a hole. But
yes,
anger, what is it? So in Inside Out, you know how there's like all of the there's like joy, sadness, fear,
yeah,
disgust, and rage, anger. There it is. So I found this chart and it's really cool. It takes all of them and it puts them at like basically like a Punnett square, and you find out what the intersections of different things are. So the
mhm,
intersection of joy and anger is righteousness, and I think about that often
mm,
because yes, there is a lot of anger that I feel regarding like what is happening to so many people in the United States, so many people groups in the United States. And I know that there is, for those who want it, but regardless of if you want to leave or if you don't, there are ways forward. There
yes,
are ways, not necessarily out as in you leave the United States, even though like that's definitely what worked for me and that's definitely what worked for Candace. But regardless if you want to stay or if you want to go, that righteousness, that the anger at what is happening and the potential joy that you know you can experience, that you know community can
yeah,
experience, can lead to such succinct and targeted action if we organize. Now, Candace
yes,
and I are organizing in a very specific kind of way for people who want to leave.
yeah,
And I think that we all just need to let that, like, letting that, like, be one of the driving forces behind this. I'm touching my laptop for those of you who can't see.
oh, it is,
Like,
yeah.
oh,
I
great,
have
good.
it.
Yes.
I have it up
Like
here
letting
too. No,
that
it
be a driving
was.
force is, yeah.
I mean, it was also a reflection. It was also a because I hadn't really, like, I told friends and family, like, little bits, but truly I kept a lot to myself because I was like, "This is only gonna make them sad." And I had many friends that were pregnant around the same time, so they were like, "Yeah, I'm heading back to work." I was like, "It's been 6 weeks. My" I was like, "I'm still wearing a diaper. What are you talking about?" I
Mhm.
literally at what I was like, I also had that surgery, like, 2 months, 3 months postpartum. So I was like also healing from so much where I was like, my mind could not answer an email if you begged it to. So I was just like, okay, I'm not even gonna let they know I'm still on leave. I'm not gonna I was like, I wasn't even sharing as many pictures. I didn't share much about my pregnancy in general, which that was just my own thing for me. Because I had that distance. So I was like, and I just that's its own thing with pregnancy is like it's such a beautiful experience, and also I sometimes feel people use it as this status and
Mm.
it icks me. I don't know. It just gives me the ick of like I'm pregnant, and it's like you don't know. I have many friends who have wanted to get pregnant, who are trying to get pregnant, who it was hard to get pregnant, and it's like I always want to be very sensitive about how I showcased my experience to be as empathetic and understanding for people who either don't want kids, who can't have kids, who are having difficulty having children. Because sometimes feel like people use it to be like, pregnant, look at me making my own little clan. Oh my gosh, mini me. And I'm just like, that's it. I hope that's not the reason. I really hope that's not the only reason you're having these kids.
For a
Because
lot of
also,
people, it is,
but
unfortunately. But
here's the
yes,
thing, the craziest thing is I'm like, you're doing all of that and you have to pay? Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. And you're paying for these 5 kids? Could not be me. Like, all for the gram? No, could not be me. Um, but yes, and so it's and thank you, Seb. Like I'm so happy to like share because it is my personal experience. I know so many of my friends and family who are like, oh, wait, maybe, and not to say this is everybody at all. Because I know there's many of my friends are like, no, I'm child free and I'm child free today, I'm child free tomorrow. And I was like, I fucking love that. They make the best aunts and uncles. I will say that because they have the energy to be aunts and uncles. They have the money to be aunts and uncles. We'll say that.
give
But
me a baby
truly,
for a brief period of time. I would,
and
and
I
then
will.
with
I'll be like, there you go. I'm fine with that. But truly, like, I know some of my friends are similar to me where they're like, wait, if I could have this level of support and this, maybe I would be interested in having a child, right? Like, if I had a whole different situation, this level of support and this level of this and maybe and a good partner, Jesus, and maybe not, because you could easily be a single parent in Denmark, like easily, because the level of support, the level. So all I'm saying is like I think it's very important that we all understand, and this is what we're doing with Black Babes Abroad, right? Is that we're just sharing our stories and sharing other stories as much as we can so that you can see the possibilities. Not to say this is exactly how it's going to be or you have to do this, but just so that your brain can start dreaming up possibilities that's not just right in front of you. Because trust us, we know the struggle of like, I couldn't even think about what being a parent in the States at a certain point was. I was like, I'm paying my own medical bills. I'm paying all this. I'm under siege right now, right? So we hope that these articles and all these bits are just like little breadcrumbs of like, oh shit, that's possible. Okay, that's possible. Okay. Now knowing that's possible, what would I dream up for my life? Now knowing that's possible, what would I do with my energy? What would I do with my time? Right? Like that's the biggest thing I would hope from this article and from all the pieces that we're doing with BBA is just giving a little bit of hope and a little bit of just creative ideas of like it can be done, it can be felt, and you can do it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people only when they think of moving abroad, and I see this all the time in my comment section when I make a video talking about like what's happening in the United States and how this is relating to like international politics and like closing off borders and all this stuff. Like I see so many people all the time talking about worst case scenario, like the can'ts. Oh, I could never do this. Oh, this is impossible. It's just going to be just as bad on the other place. Like people have no issue romanticizing the terrors. They have no
Yes.
issue
Oh,
romanticizing,
yes.
oh my God, it's going to be the worst. I'm going to be traumatized. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be everything. The world is going to fall. I will be Atlas, but I don't have the leg strength. So I will just be crushed by the world, right?
Yeah.
What we are trying to do is like show people through our lived experiences like that the vividness that people can nightmare is the same vividness that people can dream,
Can dream. Yes.
and that is just a lot
Yes.
of people's realities.
And not to
So
say it's easy. It's not to say it's easy to dream like when you don't have it's like It's what's the whole thing where it's like, oh, imagine a pink elephant. It's like all you're thinking of is a pink elephant. It's like if you don't even know there's a possibility of a pink elephant, like how could you imagine that, right? Like if you don't know, if you don't see what could be possible. And so when it comes to pregnancy, when it comes to whatever, it's like if you think that's not possible because you're like, I could never afford it. I'd have to do it alone. I'd have to get a doula. I'd have to get a team. I'd have to advocate for that's. I'm like, yeah, that sounds awful. But if you know that there's a place that you could get healthcare, that you could get community, that you also, mind you, don't have to be married to have equal rights for your child. Me and my partner are not married. I've never in my life talked with more adults that talk about their boyfriend and girlfriend. And it's kind of like, what's happening? You're 50 years old, but I kind of love it because people are like, why would I get married? Like at this point, they're like, well, if we're getting married, we're doing so for the wedding. But other than that, like we still have equal rights to our home. We still have equal, like, and to Gwen's point, the pickup artist like not bothering picking up women in Denmark because they're so supportive in the society. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I would say from my experience, why would you? Like if I was young here, I'd be like, I can afford my schooling because it's probably free. I can afford my housing. I don't have to have roommates unless I kind of want to. I can get my work. Like the women here are fucking stacked as they should be. So the men, it's like, you better come correct with something that I can't get from my girlfriends, from my colleagues, from everything else. Cause like, why would I bother? Hence why I feel like there's so many boyfriends and girlfriends still because they're like, I'll see about you. Like, oh, and then we still have kids. Like again, multiple, like so many couples where it's like, oh yeah, boyfriend and girlfriend with our 3 kids. And I'm like, kind of vibe off. there's something there's something fun about this, and I love it. The mind can only perceive
I
what it can see. Absolutely, son.
oh, also we are at time. I do just want to
Yeah,
say like a couple of things very quickly. One about the
yes,
everybody being like in like a lot of people being in relationships and nobody being married. Personally, I like the idea of a wedding as just having a giant party. Like it doesn't have to be like
that's the whole
does it
purpose.
like sometimes I just want to be the center of everything,
Sometimes,
you know? Sometimes I'm a Leo
most time,
moon. Stop.
I'm a
Stop.
Sagittarius
But
and
like
I'm Leo Mercury. No, I'm Leo. Yes, Leo Mercury.
yes.
No, what's my lucky sign? Jupiter. Leo Jupiter.
Oh, she's a Leo Jupiter. See, like your chart isn't like first thing in my also at some
It's fine.
point offline, I want to see your daughter's chart. I want
Oh,
to see your daughter's
it's
chart.
like literally a combination of me and my partners. Isn't that crazy? It's really funny. It's
Oh,
really funny.
that is a conversation for another day. We will do that. And oh no, I can't remember the other things. I don't think that they really mattered. It's fine.
They'll come up.
Um, maybe, maybe. Candace, are you free for a little bit after this? Just to chat, 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 chat.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So, my love nuggets, this has been lovely. If you have any other questions,
Honestly,
yes,
this has been just an extra love this conversation happening. I'm going to go through with these comments. This is so good. Thank you all so much for participating and just sharing your experience and having the doulas in here and just and also again like sharing some of the experience from the states of your doubts and fears and I just really appreciate the openness with this discussion. Some of these discussions can be a little bit, a little bit my words are thin, a little bit sensitive. That's where we're at. So I just really appreciate the receiving of this article. I really hope that it is helpful. Again, if you have any other questions, let us know in the comments. You can just DM me. You can message in YouTube. This replay will be on Substack on Thursday for the paid. It'll be up here for a little bit. And yeah, if there's a part two, if there's any specific questions, you can always book us again for one-to-one travel consultations. I'm so happy to share more of the experience one-to-one. I'm in
we
California, so
are
it's
meeting
less
again next
trash.
week. We are meeting again next week. Next week we'll be returning back to the checklist. We're going through. So what we're trying to do is like we're going to do 1 week of the checklist and then another week of something else.
Fun.
So we're going to be like alternating a little bit, whether that's like a Q&A from another Black babe, whether that's like Candace or I sharing more like personal insights like Candace did this week. So next week we're going to be back at the checklist. I can't remember what number we're on.
Six,
It's I'm not going to open my laptop. We're going to say 6, and it's very
six.
important. So yes, same time, same place
I think it's
next week.
clearing out clearing out your things. Marie Kondo. I
Oh,
think it's Marie Kondo
it's the clearing
article
out your stuff.
episode. I
Okay.
believe. I
Okay.
believe. But yes, we will be back next week. Replay on this will be on Thursday. And then, of course, again, comments, let us know. Have you ever discussed college abroad? Not extensively. We did talk a little bit about it, Gwen, when we were looking at visas and bits. But if you have more specific questions, again, drop them in the chat, drop in the comments. We can always talk about them the next time as well. I know
Drop them in
both
the
of us
chat,
have
drop them in
those
the
too.
comments, but also like it'd be way better if you put them on Substack because we're better
Yes.
able to organize, like put your comments, thoughts, like things that you want to put them on Substack because that's it helps. It just helps us to stay organized. This will be free on YouTube for 48 hours and then it's
Yes.
going behind the paywall. So,
Beautiful.
yes,
Yes, and I'm so glad
I
this
think that'll
helped.
go.
And thank you again for all of your feedback and just questions and all that. We love y'all so much. This is so great. I just love this community. Have a beautiful rest of your evening for many of you,
Yes.
morning for us. And yeah,
Mhm.
we'll chat soon.
All right.
Love, love.
Bye, guys.
Bye, bye, bye.